There's a moment in every person's financial journey when everything changes. One day, you're checking your investment account and feeling like you're barely making progress, and then suddenly you wake up and your money is making more money than some people earn at their actual jobs. It's not magic. It's mathematics. And there are 3 specific net worth milestones where this transformation happens so dramatically that your wealth building shifts into overdrive. The first tipping point happens at $100,000. The second occurs around $650,000. And the third milestone that completely transforms your relationship with money hits at $1 million. But here's what's fascinating about these numbers. Most people think reaching 100,000 means you're 10% of the way to becoming a millionaire. They're completely wrong. And this misunderstanding is exactly why so many people give up before they ever see the real magic happen. Your net worth doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows like a snowball rolling down a mountain, starting slow and then accelerating until it becomes an unstoppable force. If you're ready to understand when your money starts working harder than you do, comment Compound Magic below. Let me show you the 3 tipping points that change everything. Number 1. Milestone 1, the first $100,000. Let me start by destroying the fundamental misunderstanding that keeps most people from ever building real wealth. Most people think wealth building works like this. Every dollar you save gets you exactly $1 closer to your goal. Save $10,000, you're $10,000 closer. Save $50,000, you're $50,000 closer. It's perfectly predictable, perfectly linear, perfectly logical, except it's completely backwards from how money actually works when you invest it properly. The reality is far more encouraging than most people realize, but it requires a level of patience that our instant gratification culture absolutely does not celebrate. We live in a world where you can get food delivered in 30 minutes, stream any movie ever made in 3 seconds, and buy practically anything with 1 click. The idea of waiting decades for anything sounds barbaric. But here's the truth that separates people who build wealth from people who spend their entire lives broke. Money doesn't just sit there doing nothing when you invest it correctly. It starts working for you. It earns returns. And then those returns start earning their own returns. This isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. This is basic mathematics that has been creating millionaires for generations. Yet somehow, most people either don't understand it or don't believe it actually works. The secret is compound interest. Albert Einstein supposedly called it the 8th wonder of the world. Whether he actually said that is debatable, but the sentiment is absolutely correct. Those who understand compound interest will build serious wealth over time. Those who don't will work harder and harder while their money sits in savings accounts, earning practically nothing. Let me show you exactly how this works with real numbers. Imagine you decide to invest $500 every month. That's roughly $125 per week. Not chump change, but it's not exactly an impossible amount for most working adults either. We're talking about the cost of eating out a few times, or what you might spend on subscriptions, coffee runs, and impulse purchases throughout the month. Assuming your investments earn an average return of 7% annually, which is actually quite conservative compared to historical stock market performance, it takes approximately 7 years and 9 months of consistent monthly contributions to reach your first $100,000. 7 years and 9 months might sound like forever, especially when you're just starting out. But think about it this way. 7 years ago, were you the same person you are today? Time has a funny way of passing, whether you're building wealth or not. The question is whether you'll be 7 years older with 100,000 or 7 years older with nothing. During those first 7 to 8 years, most of the money accumulating in your account comes directly from your own contributions. You're essentially doing all the heavy lifting while compound interest is still warming up on the bench. Out of that $100,000, roughly $46,000 comes from your monthly contributions. The The remaining $54,000 represents the returns your money has generated. Not bad for money that's just sitting there working for you. But admittedly, it's not going to change your life overnight. And here's where most people make a critical mistake that costs them everything. They look at those numbers and think the process is too slow. They get discouraged because the returns don't seem impressive enough. They start wondering if maybe they should try something riskier or just give up entirely. What they don't realize is that they've just completed the hardest part of the entire journey. They've built the foundation that will support everything that comes next. It's like spending years learning to play an instrument. The beginning is frustrating. Progress feels painfully slow, but once you reach a certain level of competency, improvement accelerates dramatically. You're not starting from zero anymore. You have momentum. Remember, we're trying to get to $1 million, and you've just hit 100,000. In traditional thinking, you'd assume you're 1/10 of the way there. But compound interest doesn't work that way. The truth is far more encouraging than that. From this point forward, your money starts working much harder for you. Those investment returns that seemed modest during the first 8 years begin to snowball in ways that will genuinely surprise you. The next milestone is $200,000. And here's the kicker that blows most people's minds. It only takes about 5 more years to get there. Let me repeat that because it's important. It took nearly 8 years to go from 0 to 100,000, but only 5 additional years to double that amount. The mathematics is starting to shift in your favor in a very big way. This is why the first 100,000 is so psychologically important. It's not that you're 10% of the way to becoming a millionaire. It's that you've proven you have the discipline to do the hardest part. You've climbed the steepest section of the mountain. And now, instead of climbing uphill with a backpack full of rocks, you're about to start rolling downhill with momentum carrying you forward. The snowball you've been carefully packing together for almost 8 years is finally big enough to start rolling on its own. And every rotation down that mountain makes it bigger, faster, and more powerful. Number 2, the income replacement point. We're now 13 years into your investment journey, and you're sitting at $200,000. At this point, compound interest is really beginning to flex its muscles. Of that $200,000, you've personally contributed roughly $78,000 through your monthly investments. The other $122,000? That's pure investment growth. Your money has been quietly working in the background, earning returns on returns, and suddenly those gains are becoming substantial. But here's the part that will absolutely blow your mind, and it's why that first $100,000 milestone is so psychologically important. Even though you've only reached 200,000, you're actually much closer to becoming a millionaire than the numbers suggest. The reason this works is that compound interest is exponential, not linear. Each dollar of growth generates its own future growth, creating this snowball effect that accelerates over time. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill. The beginning is brutal and exhausting. Your legs are burning, your back is screaming. But once you finally reach the top and that boulder starts rolling downhill, momentum takes over, and you basically just have to stay out of the way and let physics do its thing. By the time you hit the 18-year mark, you've reached $400,000. Your personal contributions total about $108,000, but your account balance shows $400,000. That means nearly 3/4 of your wealth came from compound growth rather than your own savings. Think about what this means in practical terms. You're now earning roughly $28,000 per year just from investment returns. Remember how long it took you to accumulate your first 100,000? Now you're generating more than 1/4 of that amount annually without lifting a finger. The beautiful part about this whole process is that it doesn't require you to live like a hermit or make dramatic sacrifices to your lifestyle. We're still talking about setting aside $500 per month. It's more math, which for many people represents nothing more than being slightly more conscious about discretionary spending. This brings us to our second major tipping point, and this is where things get really interesting from a lifestyle perspective. $650,000 in productive assets represents something that most people never truly understand until they experience it firsthand. Here's why this milestone is so significant. The median household in the United States earns about $78,000 per year. That income is achieved by someone having to sell their time to an employer in exchange for a paycheck. They're dealing with commutes, office politics, demanding bosses, and all the other joys of corporate life. But with $650,000 invested properly, at an 8% rate of return, you can generate $52,000 annually in investment income. Let me break this down for you because the implications are staggering. You're not quite matching the median household income with that $52,000, but you're generating substantial passive income that can dramatically change your financial situation. And if you're targeting full income replacement at that $78,000 level, you'd need closer to $975,000 at an 8% return. For the average household, reaching $650,000 in investments represents a major psychological breakthrough. Suddenly, they realize they're generating significant passive income that can supplement or partially replace their work income. They could still go to work if they wanted to, using their salary to accelerate their wealth building even further and watching their net worth continue growing through compound interest. It's like having your cake and eating it too. Except the cake keeps getting bigger even while you're eating it. This is the point where most people start to breathe a little easier financially. The fear of financial ruin doesn't vanish completely, but it shrinks dramatically when you realize you can generate $40,000 to $50,000 per year in passive income. Suddenly, losing a job becomes an inconvenience rather than a catastrophe. Getting sick doesn't mean financial devastation. You have options that simply don't exist for people living paycheck to paycheck. But there's something else that happens at this level that's even more important than financial security. Your entire relationship with risk changes when you have substantial assets working for you. You can afford to take calculated risks that could accelerate your wealth building even further. Maybe you've always wanted to start a business but were too afraid to give up your steady paycheck. When your investments are covering a significant portion of your basic expenses, you can afford to take that entrepreneurial leap. Perhaps you want to go back to school or learn a new skill that could boost your earning potential. When you're not worried about paying rent, you can invest in yourself without the crushing pressure of immediate returns. Or maybe you just want to travel and see the world while you're still young enough to enjoy it. When your money is working for you, you're not postponing your dreams until some mythical retirement age when you might be too old or too sick to actually live them. This is what real wealth looks like, and it has nothing to do with showing off or impressing other people. It's about having choices. It's about being able to say no to things that don't serve you and yes to things that do. It's about designing your life according to your values rather than your bank account balance. And the most remarkable thing, you're still not at $1 million yet. But your life has already fundamentally changed in ways that most people will never experience. Number 3, the psychological breakthrough. Let me tell you what happens when you finally cross that magical 7-figure threshold, because this is where things get genuinely mind-bending. Your first $1 million doesn't just represent a number on a screen. It represents a complete psychological transformation that most people can't fully understand until they experience it firsthand. When you hit that $1 million milestone, which happens around year 29 of consistent investing at $500 per month with 7% returns, something shifts in your brain. You'll feel an overwhelming sense of relief first and foremost. Finally, all those years of brown bagging lunches and driving used cars have actually amounted to something tangible. It's like crossing the finish line of a marathon where the prize isn't just a medal. It's the ability to breathe a little easier for the rest of your life. You won't necessarily feel rich, especially with inflation making $1 million feel more like what $500,000 used to represent. But you will feel validated. You'll realize that building wealth isn't just for trust fund babies or people who got lucky with cryptocurrency. You, a regular employee with a regular salary, have proven that the system actually works if you have the discipline to stick with it for nearly 3 decades. Here's what's fascinating about reaching this milestone. Your first $1 million gives you a massive psychological unlock. If most of it is invested properly, you suddenly start seeing possibilities everywhere. Maybe you've always wanted to angel invest in startup companies, but you never had the capital. Now you do. Perhaps you've dreamed of buying rental properties, but you couldn't qualify for the loans. Now your net worth opens doors that were previously locked. The fear of financial catastrophe doesn't disappear entirely, but it shrinks to manageable levels. You can generate $40,000 to $50,000 per year in passive income at conservative withdrawal rates, which means even if everything else goes wrong, you're not going to end up eating cat food in your golden years. That's genuinely liberating in ways that people who haven't experienced it simply cannot comprehend. But here's where this gets really interesting, and it's something that separates people who stay millionaires from people who become multimillionaires. Some folks reach 7 figures and basically coast from there. They've achieved what they thought was impossible, so they ease up on the discipline that got them there in the first place. This is a big mistake. The people who understand wealth building at a deeper level realize that reaching your first $1 million is like graduating from college. It's a huge accomplishment, absolutely worth celebrating. But it's also just the beginning of what becomes possible when you keep the momentum going. From this point forward, the mathematics becomes absolutely ridiculous in your favor. You only need your portfolio to grow by 50% to hit $1.5 million. That can happen in just a few years with proper market conditions. To reach $2 million, you only need your investments to double, which historically happens every 7 to 10 years, depending on market performance. Think about what this means. It took you 29 years to build your first $1 million. But your second $1 million? That could happen in just 7 to 10 years. The jump from $2 million to $3 million only requires a 50% increase. From $3 to $4 million, you need just a 33% boost. Each subsequent $1 million becomes easier and easier if you maintain the financial discipline that got you there in the first place. This is where wealthy people start thinking differently about money and time. They understand that every dollar has the potential to become multiple dollars through compound growth, and this understanding influences every financial decision they make. That expensive dinner isn't just costing them $200 tonight. In their minds, it's potentially costing them several $100s in lost investment growth over the coming decades. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but what about market crashes? What if the economy tanks right when I need the money most? These are legitimate concerns, and they're exactly why diversification and conservative withdrawal rates matter so much. But here's the thing about market downturns that most people don't realize. If you're consistently investing over decades, market crashes actually help you build wealth faster. When prices drop, your monthly contributions buy more shares. When the market inevitably recovers, and it always has historically, those extra shares you picked up during the downturn become incredibly valuable. It's like buying stocks on sale and then watching them return to full price. The wealthy don't panic during crashes. They see them as opportunities because they understand something fundamental that most people miss. You're not trying to time the market. You're trying to spend time in the market. Those 29 years of consistent investing, they included multiple recessions, corrections, and crashes, and you still ended up a millionaire. So there you have it. 3 tipping points that transform your net worth from a slow crawl to an unstoppable force. 100,000 when compound interest finally wakes up and starts pulling its weight. $650,000 when your money can generate substantial passive income that changes your financial security. And 1 million when you realize you've basically won the financial game that most people don't even know they're playing. The math doesn't lie. Even if it requires more patience than our instant gratification society typically appreciates. 29 years from now, you'll either be thanking yourself for starting today or wondering what could have been. So there you have it. 3 tipping points that transform your net worth from a slow crawl to an unstoppable force. $100,000 when compound interest finally wakes up and starts pulling its weight. It takes 7 years and 9 months at $500 a month, and it's the hardest milestone you'll ever hit. But once you reach it, everything accelerates. $650,000 when your money can generate substantial passive income that changes your financial security. At 8% returns, that's $52,000 a year. Suddenly, losing your job becomes an inconvenience instead of a catastrophe. You have choices that simply don't exist for people living paycheck to paycheck. And $1 million when you realize you've basically won the financial game that most people don't even know they're playing. 29 years of consistent investing at $500 a month gets you there. And from that point forward, each subsequent million becomes easier and faster. The math doesn't lie, even if it requires more patience than our microwave society typically appreciates. Start investing consistently today, because 29 years from now, you'll either be thanking yourself for starting or wondering what could have been. Comment Compound Magic and tell me where you are on the journey. Climbing to 100K? Rolling towards 650? Already past $1 million? Let's celebrate every milestone together. The snowball doesn't roll itself. You have to pack it together and give it that first push down the mountain. But once it starts rolling, momentum takes over. Start today. Your millionaire self, 29 years from now, is counting on you.